care of. That's like somehow my job. Ow. You're right. Maybe I haven't. I thought my job was come here and try to make dad jokes.
Oh, actually, yeah, we I don't need more
I thought. So, avoiding going down a dad joke rabbit hole. Did we decide to switch back or did we just forget? I think we just forgot, didn't we? It's okay. We're all on computers today anyways. So, the reference sheet here. Please click on this. View this on your computer. Notice that compared to last year, which would have just given you these conversions, you now also get provided some volume formulas, which should indicate to you there's probably more volume on this test than you've seen previously. Right? Not boo. You're ready for it. Not boo. Go back. So click the folder right here to go back to the folder. Calculator. If you want to go read the information about what calculator will be available to you. Hey, you know what would make this easier if we didn't all talk at the same time? If you have a question, raise your hand. Otherwise, I'm going to ignore you. Because as I just made the joke about what is my job, I have a job I need to do, right? And we have a test next week. You are taking the 8th grade test, so technically you're treated like 8th graders. You get a calculator both days. So on top of, you can use the calculator in the test, which is right here, and it's a Desmos calculator. You may also have a handheld calculator. That is my advice. Your handheld calculator is going to be easier than switching pages and switching tabs and pulling it up and minimizing it and like keeping track. My advice, you don't have to take it if you don't want to, is use a handheld calculator. If we come back here, click this, and it's going to get real confusing now.
Oh, I hated these. Will we be able to use one of your calculators?
If I have enough. So if you're worried about it, bring one. Try to scrounge up what you got at home. Like, guys, if you have a calculator, bring it to school. Because otherwise, it's not like we didn't give you one. We just say use the online one, and you have a calculator. But, like, I feel like I only have so many calculators. And it's because I had 30 at the beginning of this year. Now it feels like I have 12. And it feels like I have 12. I had 30. Like, they're probably around the school. And but like, they start to disappear. In this, which we are not going to use a bunch today, I just wanted to make it available to you. The first dozen pages are crap you don't care about. Seriously. Down here on page 12, finally it says grade 8 math spring 2019, because this was last year's test. 2020 didn't really happen. We kind of wish it didn't. So now this is where people get confused and where we're not going to use this today. And guys, if you want to like be a cheater or whatever and like keep looking at this doc, you can. I can't control your actions. But this question is going to be the first question of what we actually look at today, which please go back with me to review for the OST. I'll come back and show you what this doc actually does here in a minute. Come back to review for OST. Everyone click on main ODE site and then click on it again to get it in its own tab. Click on practice tests. But don't worry, we're not taking the practice test. We'll do that mock together next week. I want us to look at released items.
I don't see where the test is. It goes on the other side. It's at the bottom of the blue button. Yeah, and then when I went to... No, that's when I went. You can go to student and teachers. Oh. You can go to student and teachers.
Or you guys could all just follow exactly what I said to do, which was click on main ODE site link right here. Click on the blue link again, like I almost always tell you guys to do, to leave Schoology.
Yes.
Right, get out of Schoology, and right here.
My website doesn't have any of those blue buttons. Yeah. No, it's not on there. Oh wait, it's like put in a weird spot.
I mean, if back here has the blue buttons, then I guess use it back here.
Oh, then just make that.
So this is what it's going to look like now.
Oh, so this is what we did with the secure testing browser to feel like.
Yeah.
But instead
But, this is, we're getting to a different thing. So it looks kind of similar. When you hit sign in, it then asks you, like, what grade, right? Because you didn't actually sign in. You signed in as a guest. We're 8th grade. Because you're 8th grade math. So click grade 8. Now, hold on. Do not assume. Please watch. Where we are going is not the practice test. It is this. Start G8 Mathematics Spring 19 released items. It'll ask you a bunch of stuff. You'll have to tell it that you hear Microsoft David. This text is being read aloud. I want to hear, like, an OST remix. Like, somebody make a dubstep of, like, this test, this test, this test. Alright, move on. Alright, we're all done. We're all done. We had our moment. We're all moving on. So now, what we're going to do is work through these problems. But guys, here, now this is the most dangerous part of, like, teaching how I teach, which is fine. I like living dangerously. This is, like, hard to figure out exactly how to say it, so 13-year-olds believe me. I personally, and yes, I'm recording right now, I personally do not care at all about these state tests. I used to get a rating based off how you guys do, and then people realized if kids were vindictive and they wanted to be like, I hate that teacher, they would just bomb the test. And then not only was it not an accurate result of the child's, like, how they did, but it didn't help with actually figuring out who good teachers versus bad teachers are, right? So, like, they did away with that. What I care about is have I taught you what I should have taught you this year? That's the purpose of the test. So I don't actually care about how well you do. Although, I care that I've taught you what I should have. Right? So, like, indirectly, I care that you do well because I hope that you've learned what I should have taught you. I don't go look at scores and say, like, oh, no, so-and-so did worse than I thought. Like, I don't do that. I do go look at data, like, and I analyze, did I do well this year or not? But, like, this is not, like, I am not, what I'm trying to say is I'm not going to assign you specific homework and say, you have to do this to prepare for the test or else the world will end. Like, no. You can opt out of the test, and I don't care. But if we're going to do this, right, because it's something that we're being asked to do, we might as well do it to the best of our ability, right? Because that's life. If we're being asked to do something, we might as well do it the best that we can. That's like why you came to Phoenix, right? If we're going to do middle school, we might as well do it the best that we can. So what I want you to do is start looking through here one question at a time. But if you know how to solve it, then you know how to solve it. If you look at it like, and sorry, what I should have then said is you don't have to solve it all the way through. And here's where some of you are going to be like, wait, do I have to do anything right now? What I'm asking you to do right now is go question by question. And when one of them doesn't, like, don't go as fast as I'm going. But when one of them doesn't make sense and you're like, oh, snap, I don't remember how to do this. I don't think we've done this since August. Like, send me that as a screenshot or just an email or even just, like, yell at me right now because we're all looking at the same numbers. So you can say, like, hey, let's do number 1. But if none of us need to do number 1 because what we're going to do is plug in 2 where the X is, then we don't need to do it. And we move on, right? So this is kind of going to be individualized for you, that if you go kind of pretty quickly, then you're going to maybe be looking at question 20 when somebody else is looking at question 5. Excuse me. That's fine. Really, today is going to be used so that I can prepare better for tomorrow and figure out what questions are still kind of rocky for us. Like, I would hope that question 1 is not rocky for us. Right? It's a proportional linear relationship. They tell us X is minutes, and they tell us 2 minutes we would plug it in. Now hold on. Keep your attention on me. I know this isn't Desmos, and I can't stop you. Here's what you can do on your own, though. At home, or AO or whatever. See this scoring guide that we looked at a minute ago? Hey, take your hands off the keyboard for a minute, just so you can understand what the heck I put in front of you. This shows you, hey, look, I'm going to go to the real PDF so it shows up a little bit bigger on the screen. It says, hey, here was the question. Then it goes through what they've either programmed the computer to be looking for. And guys, this is literally what they'll tell the computer, any equivalent value. Or they'll show you how it's also done out, like how it looks. But guys, they also have incorrect answers up here. So like, this is incorrect. So notice it gets 0 points. So be careful. If you come look at this document, you have to be very particular that you pay attention to, is it showing you a right answer or a wrong answer? But notice this doc is like 132 pages long. If you hit a question that you're confused about, email me. But then you can also, if you want to like get help right then and get some like closure, or like you can come find it in this document and look at one of the answers that has 1 point or 2 points if it's a 2-point question, and figure out what they accept as a real answer. So notice the decimal and the equivalent fraction value, both of these get accepted and give you a point. So what you should be doing right now is going question by question on the released items, letting me know if you have any concerns. Because I want you to be as relaxed as possible entering that test. Right? I want you to be like worried about nothing. Like, I got my calculator, got my scrap paper, got a good night of sleep, got my water, ready to go. Right? And the only thing I can't really control is good night of sleep, and I'm going to try buy some cases of water in case you guys need them. But please try to bring a water bottle. Like, guys, please know when we teachers give you things, it's normally like we bought it. Like, not, like, I don't go have PTSA. Like, that's too complicated. Like, I'm just going to go buy a few cases of water, and, like, it's my money, whatever. Like, but please try to bring your own if you can. Like, I don't care. I'll give you, like, a 12-cent bottle of water so you have water during a state test. I don't care. I will pay 12 cents for that, right? Like, whatever. I have no idea if it's actually 12 cents or not, but we could do the math. We could figure it out. Whoa. That would yes.
Well, I think you would have to divide it down. Like, it would be like $10 for the box.
Yeah, also it's not normally like $10 box. I think that's $7 for the box.
What water comes in a box?
I actually bought some boxed water this morning. It's in the car.
What do you mean, like, I'm not like a case?
Yeah, I got it.
a long time.
Okay, good. Also, we have graph paper, right?
You have scrap paper. I forget if you guys are allowed graph or not. I have to double check those things because like we have technically 5 different levels of people testing here. Heyo, first request.
Stop me. Oh, they're already on.
Ah! So, these problems. Well, why would they be easy? That would just be silly. Then you would be more bored. I'm honest. Like, if you went to take a test and they were all like dumb, easy questions, you'd be more upset probably. And I know it does happen. So an expression is given that has a value between 4.4 and 4.5, and where x represents an integer. So here's a word where we would first have to make sure that we understand what that word means. What's an integer? No.
A number above 0.
You're really close. No. You're really close. So, this is where we need to review something. Integer, guys, the way I remember it is the int is entire. It's an entire value. It's an entire positive or an entire negative. It's just not partial. Okay, so integer is not partial. So like negative 3 or positive 3, both integers. Negative 3.5, nope. So integer is an entire number. Sorry, I ran out of screen. So entire number. So x is a number that's not like a decimal or fraction or something. This expression's answer is between 4.4 and 4.5, right? So it's 4.4 something, because even like 4.49, right? Even if this is like 4.49, that's less than 4.5. Let's start playing with some numbers. You guys have calculators both of these tests, right? I need a number that when I take the square root of that number and I add it to the same thing over again, I get like 4.4 something. 4.40 or 4.4. Guys, remember that 4.4 is the number 4.40. Forever, right? There's like zeros forever out here. So if you are approaching this problem with a calculator, use it. That's 5. If I test in my calculator square root of 5 and I add it to itself, I could just type in the square root of 5 twice. Oh, there we go.
Oh, I thought they meant the perfect middle between.
So here's what I mean. Like we could play with square root of 2, way too small. right? Even if we double that, because times 2 if we have 2 of them, right? A number plus itself is going to give us 2 of them. So play with the numbers. I could square root 3 and then double it. Or guys, I could do this in the same step, right? 2 times the square root of 4 still doesn't work. 2 times the square root of 5, now that finally works. But 2 times the square root of 6 then is too big. So 4.47 is what comes out to actually work. It's an OST question. I know it's not the type of question I would normally give them. Mrs. Pettigrew, that's what it is. It's a more complicated question. We're doing like questions by request because, this class gets to take the 8th grade test. They get to. What's up, Mrs. Pettigrew? What can we do for you?
I don't need probably need to see it. I have their schedule for tomorrow.
Oh, sweet. Do they not have their schedules yet?
Well, we saw it.
So are we passing them out?
Yeah, we saw it, but we don't have them physically. Alright. Hey guys, so real quick, and I wanted to give this to you so you're not wandering around tomorrow not knowing what's going on. I know you saw the schedule.
That's what we normally do to you guys.
Yeah.
Let you wander around.
I know you already saw the schedule, but if you look on one side it's tomorrow's schedule, on the other side it's Wednesday's. Are they different? They're just a little tiny bit different. Tomorrow you have critic start as normal first, but if you look on Wednesday, you have foundations first. Okay? So, and it's in your 1A room. And then if you look, your classes are in a different order. Okay? So if you look here, this tells you what your class 1 is. Okay? Class 2 and class 3. Okay? So you can circle it, so your letter group, so you know where you go.
You can write on that if you want. It's in ink mode.
So here, class 1, class 2, class 3, class 4, you can find your letter group and you can circle it, or you can write it right beside. Okay? So, and then notice you don't have reading, because you're going to bring a book. You must bring a book tomorrow, so that you can read after you're done with your test. Okay? Is this questions for me?
Questions about the schedule. So usually it's on my thing it says connections and then science, but I got my schedule switched, so I go to science first. So when I just go to science.
What's your letter group?
My letter group is K, but like on the normal schedule, I go to science first.
So
Follow
so
K.
You would switch it like yeah. You'll know if you're in the right room. But yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yep. Never mind. I'm up to speed now. Yes, what you're thinking is true. What you're thinking is true.
Sorry. Okay. And then when you have the science/connections class on Wednesday, that's going to be in the science room. Okay. Okay. For the global culture/social studies, it doesn't matter. Yeah. But yeah, the science/connections class is in the science room. Honey, there's one class. If you look, this is one class.
It's only one group of kids.
It's only one group of kids, but you're having.
They are just doing it together.
Yep. There you go.
Because they're bromance. They won't leave each other. They cry if you split them up.
Okay.
They were split today and they didn't cry.
Any questions?
You just didn't see it.
Alright, so now
I didn't say how
you know where
long
you're
they cried.
going. Now you know where you're going. Okay? Did you have a question?
Just one single tear. Just a solitary. That's how they look at each other.
Thanks, guys. Sorry to interrupt.
You're good. It's not like we do anything in math anyways. Whoa! I'm allowed to make fun of it. You aren't. Adam? Ah, we haven't done this in so long.
Yeah, my brain was boggling. I just used the calculators that we
So, if you want to make the calculator do this for you,
Isn't there a button?
there is. You just have to find it correctly. Which that's the problem. So actually there's not. On this calculator, there's not. So guys, that's the problem with when we have calculator conversations. Right? So, can I please make the humble request that nobody else yell out anything specific to your calculator? No offense, none of the rest of us care. we only all really care about ourselves, which is why I'm going to give you the answer that works for everyone, right? Because I care about all of you. This is a multiplication times 10, but the 10 has a power. How do we do powers in our calculator? The caret, right? So the caret raises us up to our power, and this works for any calculator because they all have the caret on the front. Even this one, it's not in the same place, right? This one, the caret's over to the right side as opposed to on the left side, but they both have carets. Then, negative, not minus. Negative, not minus. This might be the mistake that you made. Negative 6. If I hit enter, it gives me the decimal answer. Or we could try to think back to our study of scientific notation and remember that a negative exponent moves our variable to the left. So the note you might make for yourself is in scientific notation, positive would take it to the right, and negative takes your decimal left. So negative would actually take this decimal left 6 places. Now what we're actually going to do here.
Good afternoon. Lydia Kelleher and Sophia Voorhees, please come to the office. Lydia Kelleher and Sophia Voorhees, please come to the office.
We don't need any of what we just said, actually. We could use that. But to times 5,000, I'm going to do times 5 and then times 1,000. I know I'm using extra multiplication, what the heck, but since we're dealing in scientific notation, we use extra multiplication. So to do times 5, we would get 44. And then when I do times 1,000, what does that normally do to your decimal? When I multiply something by 1,000. Right? Moves it to the right 3. So what that does to our scientific notation, if we remember, is literally just moves it back 3 spots from where it was. So instead of going over 6, we could now say go over 4. Or if you do this in your calculator, you can just do it in your calculator. However, yeah, it wants standard form. So we still then have to take this answer and write it in standard form. So I mean, you could use your calculator because you got one. Or this, take your decimal, bump it over 3 places. So 0.044, I believe, should be the same thing as you got in your calculator.
Okay, question 10 seems really simple, and I feel like I made a mistake.
So that answer times 5,000. 0.044. There we go. Yeah, 0.044. I just said 0, not O. Because O is like O, it's magic, and 0 is like, no numbers.
Oh my god, yes.
It is tragic that you guys know jingles over the actual songs. Sevi? It will normally... what question are you talking about? So this is a great example of go check the document that I gave you guys. However, I can pretty much tell you the safe answer is they want the answers in decimals. So if I want to go check that doc that I gave you guys, I think I closed my tab again. Dude, it doesn't take me long to get there. Boom, I'm already there. Now, whatever question that is, it's like a far way into it, probably, so that it's before this question, I think. Question 12, no, probably not. Unless it's actually in order. Nope.
No, that's really annoying.
I know. Well, so they're in order, but they aren't numbered correctly.
Yeah, because that was like question. It's the number of question that it was on the original question because it's
Right.
scaled down to whole days or whatever.
I may have gone too far now.
No, you don't. I think.
Okay, because I was apparently the game has like cable before. That was really weird.
We just really need to find any circle problem. Transformation.
Control F and search the
Yeah, so here. Yeah. But because they know that there are some pi discrepancies, guys, this is what I've been telling you all year about if you use 3.14, that's okay, and if you use pi button, that's probably okay too. This is why they have such a big range of what answer they accept. If you use exact 3.14, I bet this is the answer you get. If you use exact pi, I bet this is the answer you get. Or something, around, like, that's why there's a range. So notice, and this, I want to alleviate your stress, guys. The exemplar is exactly what they'd be looking for, but any other correct responses get the full credit. Audrey? One that you want to go over. So does that answer your question, Sevi? You can use, so you can't like type pi here, right? So if I try to type pi, it doesn't let me. Like I am hitting pi and it does not let me. So can I put my answer in terms of pi? No. Like I just can't. So I gotta do the multiplication. Which question, Audrey? 6. So this, again, goes back to something we haven't done in a long time, but we did do it. So if you kept like everything we did this year, yes. Who kept everything we did this year? Silly Hudson.
Ooh, that equals 3 to the
Now you guys might be thinking, wait, they have P and Q. But guys, if I can't work with what they gave me, work with something you know you like can work with. If I had 3 to the 2 and 3 to the 4 multiplied together, this is 3 times 3. This is times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. So really, it's 3 to the 6th. So what do I do with these? We add them. Right? So what they're telling you really is let's call that like Z, is 3 to the Z is 1/9, which we actually know is 3 to the, -2. Remember, the negative flips it over to its reciprocal, and then the power applies. So these might be notes you want to make to yourself, like, and I'm probably gonna print you a worksheet tomorrow. Especially guys, in extensions, if you're bored, please look through this. What problems are difficult? I will put those on a worksheet for us so we can like write stuff down tomorrow. I just didn't want to print a worksheet full of problems that you guys are gonna be like, that's easy, that's easy, that's easy.
Okay, I don't trust that shy. Is number 10 as simple as it should be? Could you go to number
So
10?
hold on. We need two numbers that when added can make -2. So it could be 0 and -2, -1 and -1, -3 and +1, like whatever combination of P and Q when added, that would be P plus Q.
So you could do like hundreds of thousands minus, and it wouldn't.
If you go look at the scoring guide, it will probably literally say any two numbers who sum to like -2.
Oh, it does say integers though. Any values where P.
Well, yeah, integers needs to be integers. Yes, integers can be negatives. Scoring.
Yeah, it says P plus Q equals -2.
Any values where P and Q equals -2. So again, you have a calculator. So we can play with 3 to the powers of whatever. So right, 3 to any positive power is going to get bigger. It's going to multiply by itself. So remember, guys, we talked about negative exponents, what they actually do. Is this says, I want to square, oh wait, I want to flip and then square. Because unlike just 3 squared, 3 cubed, whatever, the negative says actually take the reciprocal of what we have. So this, I did minus instead of negative. That needs to be a negative. So this is actually 1/3 to the second power. It flips your 3 and makes it 3 over 1, and then it squares it.
Also, if it's like just the same number over and over, again, you can assume it goes on forever, right?
Yeah. And don't trust the last number in the calculator. Because that's what they tell us. Is that so? That the only reason we know that that's what they tell us. Sorry, I shouldn't say it kind of flippantly like that. Yes, this is where the writing is correct. And push back on me if this doesn't make sense. We add because what we learned about variables is that when we multiply, this is 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. So we actually add up how many total. So if this was P and this was Q, we actually add them. So we know that here this is going to be addition. Then, Cooper, you still with me? Or Ivan, you still with me? 1/9 being our answer. We're trying to think of, okay, 3 to some power equals 1/9. Well, what we just said, I know I'm going to clear everything, is that 3 to any negative power, like -1, literally says flip the 3 over 1, right? 3 is 3 over 1. Any numbers over 1. This power literally just says flip it on over. A power of -1, all it does is flip numbers. So if you keep applying powers of -1, you'll just flip over and over and over again. So that is 1/3. But if this number was anything not 1, like say -2, -3, -5, then it flips it, the negative flips it, but then we still have whatever power we have. So the negative is gone because I flipped it, but then I have to apply the power. Well, we know that's too big. What power for 3 turns it into 9? The second power. If you want more practice with this, go in Khan and search negative exponents. And we did those activities, but you can do them again. Kelly?
So basically, you can subtract 1 off of the multiplying factor. So we do 3 flipping -2, we take 1 off of the -2, and then we multiply it normally as a, never mind, I'm making it.
Yeah, you're making stuff up.
I'm making it way more complicated.
You're also making things up. I'm just being honest because I care about you. We do not take things away from the power. We do not subtract. That is not what's happening.
I can't figure out how to say it in my head.
So let me give another example then. How about that? 5 to the -3rd. Completely separate from this problem. I'm just showing you another example. The negative power, and this is why I wanted to do this while we prep for the test to make sure that we can remember things that we have forgotten through the year. The negative power takes this and says, you're going to flip that first number to its reciprocal, but the rest of the power stayed. And now what that tells us we're going to do is take 1 to the 3rd power and 5 to the 3rd power. 1 over 125. Nick?
Anything to the 0th power is just 1.
Anything to the 0 is 1. Anything to the 0 power is 1.
Can you make sure number 10 is as simple as I think it is? Because you can get shortcuts on the answer. The answer sheet.
Am I just not on the right schedule yet, really? I guess we're done with class. So, overnight tonight, through this evening and overnight, please email me with the things